why your relationship doesn't work? Because you're a problem. I am shit out. How about you have some class? Like you say you have class and everything. So you sound ridiculous. You talk shit all the time. Okay? I'll continue. So be real about it. So when you see me, be real about it. You think I'm being fake right now? I'm telling you, because you're not about the life you're pretending to be about. You're really not about it. And you're not about it.
Well, I can't hear them. I can't hear them.
Starts texting and calling and sending them voicemails and stuff.
understand what happened here.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Cool,
Yes.
cool.
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
Perfect.
I'm just like, I'm sorry. Busting this.
All right, guys. So we're with Cross Country Mortgage. I'm TJ, and this is Josh.
I'm Josh.
We're the preferred lenders for the KW South Valley office, and we're loan officers. We'll just run through, basically, for the purpose of this call, we're going to run through a morning meeting that we have every morning. It's called daily accountability. It's how we hold ourselves accountable for making our calls in order to get more business. Before we do that, let's jump into like a little bit of introduction, everybody. So I'm TJ. I've been in the business for about 3 years now. In my spare time, I like to go skiing or mountain bike. Yeah, Josh, jump into it.
Yeah, so been in the business about 5 years. Yeah, nothing special, just work. I don't do anything crazy. So then we'll try to zip through this. I don't want to take up too much time with introductions. We'll get into the theme days. But yeah, we'll start with Melissa. Keep a track of if you see anyone you need in a minute.
Hi.
Hi.
So I went ahead and made about 12 calls, 12 calls yesterday, and then sent out 12 texts as well.
Nice.
Yes, that's what I did.
How long have you been a realtor for?
Well, I just started Ignite, this week, and then my license came through yesterday.
Perfect. Yep. And then Megan, what about you? How long introduce yourself and how long you been a realtor for and everything?
I just barely got my license, so I'm just working on trying to figure out how to market myself and get out there. Trying to reach out to family members, let them know that I got my real estate license, and that's pretty much it.
Perfect.
Love it.
You want to go? Just keep going.
Yeah. Hey, Christy, introduce yourself and.
I'm Christy. I got my license this month, so I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm going through the training and working on getting my marketing out there and making calls. So
Awesome. Love it. Lindsay?
Hi, I got my license. It's been about a month now, but I feel like it's been about 2 weeks because I was out with COVID for about 2 weeks.
Really?
So I still feel very new.
For sure.
Yeah.
How hard did it hit you? Were you pretty sick?
What was that?
How hard did it hit you? Were you pretty sick?
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah, I was in bed for 2 weeks, but it's
Gosh,
all good. But yeah, I still feel very new.
for sure. Right on. We're glad to have you. Tyler, introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tyler, I think I passed the test, 2 weeks ago, went through Ignite, got the license yesterday. So, yeah, so just kind of here for the journey, learning.
Sweet. You want to do the next one?
And then Tao.
Hi, I'm Tao. I got my license about 2 weeks ago. I had my first showing last week.
Nice.
Buyer, so it's pretty nice. And I did my code of ethics, got that done. And I'm reaching out to friends and family members and letting them know I'm a realtor now.
Right on. Perfect. And then see, Jenilyn.
I'm Janelyn. I got my real estate license last year. So I'm still in my first year of real estate. And right now, so yesterday I door knocked a cul-de-sac with my friends because she wants one of her neighbors to move, and that neighbor's open to maybe moving. She's like, well, can you tell me what my house is worth? So I'm gonna do a CMA today and drop it off and see. Like, I don't know, she's gonna invite me in or not, but I'm gonna do some CMA, write up the report and drop it off and see if she wants to work with me.
Nice. And then Veronica.
Hi, my name is Veronica, and this is my second renewal. I'm renewing my license. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I used to be with Keller Williams, and I'm going back now. That's why I'm taking these classes again, because Keller Williams is the best brokerage that I'm being with. So, yeah, so excited to go back.
Perfect. And then Kyle.
Yeah. I got my license at the beginning of February. And I'm already working with 3 or 4 pre-approved buyers. So hopefully we'll be getting at my house in the near future.
Perfect.
Love it, man. Jessica?
I'm still waiting on my license is still pending, but I have reached out to a handful of friends and family that are looking to buy. So hopefully that works out.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, so TJ's gonna go over quick. We'll do the theme days, and then we're gonna dive in on the days. So then this kind of gives you a structure to really kind of help you out with, because for us as lenders and as realtors, you know, when we wake up, it's like, what do we do? It's like call. It's like the worst thing ever, right? Like now, like who do we call at some point? So this kind of gives you a structure to know like who you're gonna dial in and focus on with your calls, and then it helps out in a crazy way. So
for sure. Yeah. So I mean, our whole you know, game plan is set on systems. So for every day, we've got a different set of people that we're calling, and we'll send this out to you guys too via email. But on Mondays, we're calling our VIPs, our top 50 VIPs, and our goal is to actually make 30 dials a day, 30 outbound calls. Whether you're actually, you know, getting through to them or not, you know, that's, we got to admit some people. Perfect.
Okay,
cool. Whether we're actually, you know, getting a hold of them or not, that's one thing, but we want to make sure that we're actually making 30 outbound calls. So for the VIPs on Monday, this can be anybody. This can be anybody you could possibly think that you can get a lead from. This could be, you know, personal friends that, you know, or business owners, any other, you know, referral partner you think you could have that would be a VIP. And then Tuesdays is our status calls, status updates. So if you have an active transaction going, any person you can think of in the transaction, whether it's the lender, whether it's title, whether it's the agent on the other end of the deal, whether it's the borrower, anyone involved in the transaction, you're going to be making calls to them. Wednesday is going to be hot leads and old leads. So if you have leads that are, you know, you just got yesterday and you feel like you just talked to them, give them a call just to, you know, check to see how everything is going. Or if you've got leads from 3 months ago and they've seemed to gone kind of cold, you know, call them and follow up to see what's going on. Thursday is going to be our database, so our past clients. So run through, you know, past clients. And then I realize it's kind of hard if you're new. What I did when I was new, I just ran through Facebook. All my friends on Facebook was my database. I ran through and just called all my friends on Facebook or social media. And then Fridays is our cold calling day. So this is when we're calling, you know, we're getting sheets and cold calling and just running through cold calls. Any questions with the theme days?
perfect. Cool. So I'll kind of go in a little more depth on this here. So let's go with on Monday with the VIP calls. You know, when you start out, they always tell you guys to focus on your SOI, your sphere of influence, right? And like Megan, you brought up that you know, trying to figure out how to market yourself, getting out there and everything like that. It's going to be the same for everyone. And TJ hit on the head. Like when I first started out, I literally went through my Facebook and I just like everyone posts their picture. Hey, just became a realtor, yada, yada, yada. But I literally went through like all my friends, and then ones that like, you know, there's friends that are Facebook friends, right? You really had no contact with them. But then there are definitely some of those friends that you actually do know from high school, from whatever. And so you actually want to just send a message to them, just see how they're doing. Like, don't even talk about business, because literally they'll, once you say hi to them and everything, odds are they're going to click and just take a look at your profile and everything, and they're going to see that you became a realtor. And 9 times out of 10, you guys, when you bump into people you haven't seen forever, it's like, what are you up to? What do you do? And it's like, oh yeah, I've just been working, I'm a realtor. And it comes up much more organically. I think that's the key, right? Like when you're a new agent, and we're telling you to call all these people, it's okay, like, how do you try to not be too salesy? How do you try to make this become more organic? And it comes out more genuine when you're talking to people, okay? And so I literally would just go through that. That's the easiest way to start getting your calls and figuring those things out. And then the other thing that I think is super important with the VIP calls is if you already own a house, like you're already paying people. If you have homeowners insurance, you're paying an insurance agent already. Like that is a business contact that I would call them and let them know, like, hey, I'm trying, you know, I'm a realtor, I'm trying to create my business. If that insurance agent will love you because they want as many realtors as they can get, because that means you're going to bring more clients to them as well. So I tell people all the time, leverage anybody that you're paying. Like your doctor, leverage your doctor as well, because it's like I'm paying you as well. So like if you can help me out here, that would be great. Definitely. So, and then Tuesday on status, you want to go a little depth on that, like the importance on the status updates?
Yeah. I mean, the importance, I mean, it's kind of similar to what you already said. I mean, status updates, if you've got a transaction currently going with, you know, calling the insurance agent that you're hooking up the buyer, that we're hooking up the buyer with, call the insurance agent to make sure, you know, to let them know, hey, yeah, I'm actively working and I'm actively accepting leads. I mean, it's a matter of asking for leads at the time. Calling your title agent, you know, just to show them that you're on the ball, because oftentimes title reps can even find borrowers, especially their SOI, and they're actively looking to get them in touch with a good realtor.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yeah, and you'll get a big sense from Nick Gonzalez that on those status updates, being actively communicating with, let's say, if you have, let's see, Kyle, you actually have a couple buying clients. If you get any of them under contract, talk to the listing agent, you know, keep in contact with them. And then when you're making offers, you know, or having a listing and you're getting the offers, talk to those agents, because when you're starting out, sometimes people no one knows who you are. Mm-hmm. So you want to build your brand and start to like, keep in mind, like it's small lake city. Someone's going to remember you on one of the deals. So if you're if you're rude to them and kind of a dick, it could come back and bite you in the butt down the road. Yeah. So you want to always keep that in mind and be as nice as possible to other agents, because one day, like if you have a really good transaction, they're going to remember you and associate like your deals are super clean.
Yeah. So and say you go to make an offer on a home later, you know, years, and it's that same agent that you had made calls to weekly, and they knew that you were super awesome to work with and the transaction went super smooth, they're more likely to accept your offer, even if, say, there was a better offer on the table, but they let their sellers know, hey, I've done deals with this realtor before and it went awesome.
Yep.
So.
And then on Wednesdays, the hot leads, those ones are just the current clients you do have, kind of build it up. Now, obviously, we put that on a Wednesday, but if you don't have a ton of active clients, it's hard to like just do 5 calls or 2 calls on a Wednesday and only follow up with your clients once a week. Odds are you probably follow up with them daily or every other day. But it's important that you make sure that you set a Wednesday that when you meet with the client, you're like, hey, we're going to be talking almost every day. We're gonna become best friends, but just know on Wednesdays, without fail, I'm gonna call you and give you updates on something. Okay? And always have intent, like when you're calling your borrowers or any of these people, the VIPs or the listing agent, have content. You have to have a purpose of why you're calling them. Okay? So try to focus on, if you make a call, there's a reason why you're calling. You're not just calling and have nothing to talk about. Just like, hey, how are you doing? Like, then they're just going to immediately just think you have nothing important. You're not bringing anything to the table to them. Okay? So always keep that in mind. And then on Thursdays, the database and past clients, you want to talk, like this one is super important to me. I want to make sure, like, I would star Thursdays, like, beyond. Do you want to go on?
Dive into it.
Okay. So with the database and past clients, I want you guys to really make sure when you get a client, like, you don't look, like, you focus on that one person, you give everything you can to that person, but because you got to look at them as a pod. Literally, like, one person is a pod of like three arms going out. If you really hammer in and focus on that one person and make a good impression, odds are you want to try to get at least 3 referrals out of that person to push you forward, and then you'll start to spread a web and get more and more business going. Okay. To this day, I really believe 90% of all the agents I talk to never follow up with their past clients. They just don't. And they're like, oh, I really struggle at it. Like, that's all my business. Like, I feel like my past clients is my biggest driver, because after the deal closes, like, you can do marketing pieces and do all this cool stuff and send them a calendar. Call them. So on Thursdays, like, you can set up a call 1 month after closing, 6 months after, even a year after, and just follow up and see how they're doing. Odds are something's going on. They have another family member that's interested in buying, or that, it's literally easy pickings on leads coming into you, right?
Yeah, one thing I have to add to that is make sure you're asking for the leads, though.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started off, I was so afraid to ask for the leads, and now it's just come second nature. I mean, when you're making these Thursday calls, just frankly ask, hey, do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell a home right now? And you'd be surprised, the answers that you get. And then oftentimes, depending on how the conversations go, I say, well, I'm going to follow up in the next couple months. Do you think in that time frame, and you set a time frame, that you can find someone that's looking to buy or sell? And I would say 30% of the time, I get a lead from that if I'm actively following up and actively pursuing it.
Yep. And then let's see, I cannot remember. Someone was like, they're going to go see someone in their cul-de-sac with CMA. Like, that's your key into the house. If anyone is ever like, yeah, someone's like interested or anything like that, if they're kind of interested and they already own a house and you're trying to get, like, right now, listings are the golden egg for agents. You want listings. Like, if you're a listing agent, you control the whole thing right now. And so you want to be able to be trying to create business and go into these clients like, hey, like, I'd be happy to do free CMA. I'll put all my time and effort, give you an idea of how much your house is worth. And if they start to turn like, oh, like, they have 200,000 in equity, and they start to feel like, well, maybe I don't want to sell or anything. Well, pivot and try to bring more value to them. Be like, okay, well, maybe if it's not selling now, maybe we refinance you, save you money for a year or two. We just keep in contact, and if the year or two you're ready to sell, I'm still talking to you, and I'll keep giving you an idea of how much your house keeps appreciating over time. Like, it's not a hard call every 6 months or so, or 2 months, just to talk and keep them on top of mind that you're their agent from now on. And then if they ever have a question, about insurance or, physical therapy, something crazy, like, you want to make sure that they know that you're a one-stop shop and you're going to provide value with whatever they have or they need. Okay. Like, I don't know, I get some random calls for like random things I have no idea about, but I'm like, yeah, sure, let me take a look into it. And then I'll just start calling around trying to figure it out. I have to think of one, but that's database, past clients, is
That's money. That's
you
where money's
have to
at.
keep, yeah, you have to always keep that in mind, okay? So if ever you have a day that there's nothing, like it's a dead day, then just call a past client, and just see how they're doing and see what's new, what's going on with them, okay? And then for the buying agents, like if you have clients that are buying, you know, just always staying on top with them and seeing how things are going. And then when they do buy, purchase a home, like anniversary dates, seeing how things are going. And especially when they purchase, giving them a CMA report 6 months, 6 months to a year out, like is huge. Because then they start to really see the value of like what we talk to them about appreciation. You're providing them that content, like, hey, look, you're making money on your house you just purchased. This was a great idea, right? Okay, so keep that, like, that's a big day. And then Friday, cold calling. Everyone's gonna hate cold calling, but this is pretty important too. You wanna go?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty
Yeah, and
self-explanatory.
we're actually gonna have a class. When's that class set up?
So we're gonna do one for next week, for cold calls. We'll try to send I'll send something out, to all of you guys, so then you know.
Yeah, we'll have a class in the KW South Valley office.
Yep.
We're actually gonna sit down and make cold calls, so you guys can sit down, join us, and listen to us, kind of see how the calls go.
And we'll be providing we're gonna be providing calls for people who want.
Yeah, lists that we can call.
And the way that we're doing, and if you guys remember, I talked about on Mondays, the VIP and like with leveraging people you have, we are literally taking them from the book. We're gonna leverage the title company, Real Advantage at Keller Williams, and get a list of areas that from certain zip codes that have, and get a list of all of the purchases that happened in the past, let's say, I think over that are 3 years or older, or even 2 years and older, purchases in certain zip codes. And then we'll have a list of them, and then we're gonna start calling to try to generate business for listings. And then, or even if it's not a listing, then obviously listing and buying. So just having those awkward conversations of, if you're interested, what can I do for you? We'll kind of get some scripts together, and then it's just gonna be kind of like a good day for us will be a day where we just kind of tank. Like cold calls, your percentages are really low, but if you're not pursuing anything, you're not getting anything. Keep that in mind. Your business is not gonna come to you just because you say you're a realtor. There's the turnover rate for realtors is pretty high. Most realtors after 2 years will fall out of the industry or just kind of inactive and active, and that's fine. But if your intention is to really push to be something a little more than just kind of like part-time, and you want really to get more and more, like sometimes these cold calls in the first few years are going to be really important for you to really generate a database. Okay. Does anyone have any questions from what we're saying? Awesome.
Love it. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to have calls. I mean, there's calls every morning at 8:30. We invite you guys to hop on. What we do on there is we go over our numbers for the previous day. And, like I said, our goal is to hit 30 dials. And then we go over any objections that we've had, so oftentimes we go over any objections that any realtors have had or we've had as lenders, and we talk about the objections and how we can overcome them and just really problem solve. And I think it's good and lots of people come in with different ideas of how they've been marketing themselves for the week, and we get really strategic with it. And it sets a good pace for the day, especially having it starting at 8:30 in the morning. You have your intentions set for the day, and it starts your day off right.
Yeah. There's.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
So this 8:30, is this for the people that are in the training group?
Yeah, for anyone in the brokerage.
Oh, okay. So just down in where they hold meetings?
So it's actually on Zoom right now. And so we'll make sure that Nick sends out the Zoom link to you guys, so we can all, so you guys have the ability to hop on with us.
So we're just going to be listening in and watching you make cold calls?
Oh, next week?
No, next week, we're gonna try to get something set up with Real Advantage to be in their office. And then we'll provide like sheets of numbers and information, so you can give them a call and try to start to generate.
Yeah.
And then honestly, it's gonna be our first actual cold call day. So I bet the way I'm anticipating this, to give you a heads up to what to expect, it's gonna probably be, we'll kind of get a script together for you guys so that you have an idea of like, of
Practicing scripts.
of what you're gonna be talking about. So you have a little bit of content to be asking the people. And, you're probably gonna get a lot of objections, but that's what we're wanting it. We want to do that with you guys in person. So then when you get these objections, it's like, hey, so someone just said this and, or whatever, we can actually kind of go over with you guys of how to overcome those objections. Okay. And I remember with Brock, he's one of the other LOs with us. Like, it's just always one of the things where it's just like, just getting comfortable with getting uncomfortable is the key with doing all these calls.
Definitely.
That's like, when people say no, like I'm usually one to like be like, okay, I don't want to be a pest, so I'm gonna get off. All right, that's fine, But then just asking a question or two of why and getting a little deeper, then it's like you'll find out that most of the time you can overcome a lot of the objections. So it's pretty good.
Definitely.
Okay. And then and then for the morning calls that we have every day, it's just kind of it's just an accountability. And then it's really good for you guys to also see the other agents and what they're running into issues. So then you're not like the only one in there. I would say like being with we've got like other companies and everything, and we kind of have a team atmosphere here. Like, by no means, like, I'm my own individual loan officer, TJ's his own individual loan officer. And so, if you really look at it, it's like we're competing against each other, and you as agents are all competing against each other. But having like a feeling of a team you're a lot stronger together. And so like, having that ability with Keller Williams and kind of creating a team atmosphere and being able to lean on other agents and know that you're going to get proper feedback is pretty priceless in my opinion. And there's a reason why us having a team set up with our processors being here and everything, we work really well with Keller Williams compared to other brokerages because it's
Similar team dynamic.
It's the same team dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. And then tomorrow we're gonna be providing lunch to you guys in the KW office, and we're gonna be going over loan processes and loan programs, just kind of the basics, so you guys can have a good understanding of how that works. And we actually have an office in the KW South Valley office. It's on the main level through the Be Heard doors. I'm sure you guys will, find us, that you guys will see us there walking around. But yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to stop by, call us or text us anytime, and we're more than willing to help. Even if it's deals that we aren't involved in, we're not the lenders. If you guys, say you need us to leverage with other lenders and stuff, bring your problem files to us. We're more than happy to take a look at them.
Yeah. Honestly, even if you just have a question and you're a lender that you've already been working with, and you're just wondering like something seems off or whatever, then just ask us and we'd be happy to help you guys out. That's something that we just want to make sure we provide to Keller Williams. Okay.
Hey, can you guys provide your contact information in the chat, like your phone number, email, that kind of thing?
For sure, yeah, we will. And then we will also be at that. We'll be at that lunch and learn tomorrow as well. But I will definitely put it in chat right now.
Okay, appreciate it, TJ. Thanks.
Yeah.
Someone else had a question?
I did, but I probably could just ask you tomorrow.
Oh no,
you're good. Go ahead and ask it now.
Yeah, we got the time.
So, I was over at Wise Choice, and I used to be at Keller Williams, left for about a year, and then I came back. And one of the reasons why I came back is that the Keller Williams mortgage that doesn't charge any fees. So how do you guys compete with that? Like, I'm just trying to, like, for me, like, I would probably just run it through Keller Williams mortgage, but I'm just trying to understand what you guys do.
Cool. Yeah, no, our fees are actually very competitive with Keller Mortgage, but that's not really the value that we bring. The value that we bring is that after the deal closes, 6 months, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, we're actively calling that client still, and your name is attached to us always. So I would say, one deal one lead that I get turns into 2 or 3 down the line. And those 2 or 3 go back to the agents that referred them to us. So that's the value that we bring, is that I mean, there's email campaigns that we set up after the deal closes that your face is attached to, drip campaigns. We're actively calling, I mean, we're there and we care.
Yeah.
That's really that's the advantage that we bring.
That really does mean a lot. Do you like give updates to the agents on past clients or anything?
Yep, definitely. Anytime that we make a call to a past client, I go back and I call that realtor and say, hey, I just followed up with so-and-so, your name was brought up, blah, blah, blah. You might want to check in, or, hey, they might actually be interested in selling. They actually have a buyer, so on and so forth. So that's the real value that we bring.
And then the other big thing is like, and because we, as a lender, we compete a lot with other lenders. And let's be honest, you get shopped. And so the Keller Williams one, I don't get worried about it. So yeah, you can send one and then we can always compare. And then, because if we're off a few hundred or something like that, or let's say, I mean, with VA loans, we don't charge any fees. So there's things like that. And then we are probably going to get better interest rates and things like that. So, I think it's one that you can give a test run and see and compare it. And we'd be happy to just kind of show it to you instead of just telling you.
Hey.
Awesome. Thanks you guys for being on here. I appreciate it. So
Yeah,
I was able to formally introduce, this is TJ and Josh from Cross Country. They're amazing partners for us, getting our clients pre-approved with really solid pre-approvals so that we know that their deal is going to go through. Then we can throw in some really aggressive offers and actually get some houses under contract. So I appreciate you guys being awesome partners for us. And thank you for sharing a little bit about lead gen. Appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to cut TJ off. I don't want you guys to see his face anymore. I'm just going to put my information in here. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Nick, the
Here, go for it.
Oh yeah, I got to be the host. Let's not make that mistake again.
Yeah, I almost jumped out of it.
Yeah.
We've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, thanks guys. All right, I guess I can probably sign off on my phone here. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we got a little bit of noise here. Let's see where that's. Okay. There we go. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey guys, was that helpful? Get a little bit from the preferred lenders. Learn a little bit.
I thought that was helpful.
Awesome. Love it. You look like you might have your hands full. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears. Good morning. Hopefully you're all doing well and having some good success. Did you guys already report on how yesterday went? Did any of you guys, were you able to make some contacts and have any good conversations? Anything you want to kind of go over? No.
I've got a question. I'm gonna take a CMA to a house that I door knocked yesterday. So do I try to do a listing appointment at the same time, or do I schedule one, or at least attempt to?
Yeah, what was the conversation up to this point?
So she just wants to know how much her house is worth because she might be thinking about selling.
Okay, and why is she considering selling?
She hates all of her neighbors.
Oh, okay. There you go. Everyone's got their reasons. Awesome. Okay, and you have only talked to her on the phone or in person? Like, what's your communication?
I knocked on her door because my friend lives in that neighborhood and all of her neighbors hate her and she hates all her neighbors. So she was like, "Can you see if this lady wants to move?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go over there this week." So I went yesterday. And yeah, so she just wants to know how much it's worth. She seems like she's probably open to moving, but I just don't want to get stalled or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it sounds like she might be very open to moving if she hates all of her neighbors, right? So there might be a pretty good motivation there. So I think, yeah, it's all about, so there's a lead, there's a potential motivation there. So now it's going to be all about scheduling that appointment. So just try to get it to an appointment, schedule a time where you can swing by and you're able to, kind of go through, I would go through the comps with her. I'd go through the process. I mean, kind of what we talked about yesterday, build rapport, find motivation, dig deep for motivation, do your education piece, and then talk about those comps. That's how I would do it. And you're also gonna just realize when we're taking listing appointments in this market, a big portion of it is what are they going to be buying next? So a big conversation that we're having is what's that next move look like? So we have to provide some solutions there, because if they're planning on moving up, down, or around, we're gonna have to find somewhere else for them to go. So just make sure you're having that conversation as well about what, why they're moving, why that's so important, what this next place is gonna have that their current place doesn't offer. And then you're gonna have to offer some solutions of how they can actually get this home sold and the other one.
I'm actually thinking that she might go to a 55 and older community because she's 60, she's an empty nester, and she's a widow.
There we go. It's probably doesn't want as much space, may not want the stairs. I mean,
yeah.
Love it. So yeah, make sure to dig deep on that motivation, because I mean, if she actually hates all of her neighbors,
like they have barbecues and apparently she'll go out there and throw rocks at their shoes and the bikes and stuff. So there's some drama there.
I would probably move on to the next lead. That sounds like a rough one. No, I would still explore it, and hopefully that does sound a little on the intense side, but
if I send you the comps after I pull comps to try to make sure that like I'm actually like in the ballpark and right with what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be about 600,000 for the listing. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, send them over. I'll be happy to take a look at it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, nice job. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears. Today we're talking all about buyers. I've kind of been honest with you that sellers are my favorite, but buyers are a very close second. Love helping out buyers and helping them get the best terms on their new home. And I mean that actually. I know it sounds kind of snarky, but I actually do enjoy it. And I like to be able to be a part of that and help them out with something to make sure they get the best deal and that it works out the best for their family. So there's a lot of good that we can do helping buyers as well. Especially in this market, I mean, we have to work for it. Don't get me wrong. We earn our commission on this one, but imagine if a buyer had to go at this alone, if they didn't have an agent that was very up to date on the local market and didn't know how to, if they didn't know how to put in an offer, it would be very difficult for them to go under contract. So anyways, we can still help a lot of clients through that process. Okay. Everyone's open to helping buyers, I assume. So let's talk a little bit about what that process looks like. I will say it's very much like the seller process. It's just a little bit flipped. So here's the situation. We've already talked about a bunch of lead generation opportunities that we have to find buyer leads, right? So it's going to be the same thing as we're door knocking, as we're cold calling, as we're keeping in touch with our databases. All of those things are going to provide listing and buyer leads to us. Basically, we're going to identify people who say, "Hey, I've got a need. I've got a motivation." As we have conversations with them, they're going to entrust you with that opportunity. So same thing kind of applies here. We're always going to get that lead, and then our next step is to convert that into an appointment. Now with buyers, I do see a lot of agents that just they get a lead on a buyer and they just say, "Hey, let's go see a house." They'll start showing them houses. Sometimes that's how, if there's a sign call or an online lead or something, that's how we'll get them out so we can actually meet them and make that relationship. But keep in mind that an uneducated buyer is not going to be able to buy a house in this market. So by doing the appointment and you really making sure that you're going from lead to appointment, that's going to make it so that you have an educated buyer who can actually put in aggressive offers on homes and actually get one accepted. So they really do need us. They need us to be the professional. And that's why when I kind of talk to you about the conversations that I have with them, it sounds a little doom and gloom because I don't overpromise and I don't say it's going to be fun. I don't say it's going to be just great. We're going to drive around, see all these pretty homes. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be difficult, to be honest, in this market. It's going to be difficult for them. And I want to be that one that they trust to help them get through that. We were just checking earlier today, and it was something like 240 active listings in Salt Lake County right now. So our listing inventory is down. The options that our buyers have has been diminished some. Typically, that number would be, better get my stats right, closer to 2,000, I want to say, just in Salt Lake County. So normally MLS wide will have like 6,000 or 8,000 listings. I think that's about right. So we do have a very small amount of actives, but one thing that I kind of touched on yesterday is that we also have a lot of pendings. So there's a lot of under contracts right now. So what that means is we still have a ton of inventory coming on the market. It's just getting gobbled up really quick. So the ones that are actually available are pretty slim. So that's why kind of yesterday when I'm talking about giving options to sellers and saying, hey, there's still going to be some properties that pop up that you'll like. That's why we'll kind of pull the pendings and just see if there's houses that are coming up in that price range that kind of meet what they're looking for, because it might not always be apparent in the actives, because those actives come on and then they all go under contract and then a new wave will come in. So don't feel like there's, just this huge restriction on inventory. We still do have listings coming up and your buyers still have opportunities to find houses. You just have to be a little bit strategic in the way that you run the whole process. Always be looking for other options for them that maybe aren't on the MLS, which we can do by door knocking, cold calling, staying in touch with our database to find other opportunities for them as well. Okay. So like I said, we want to take this from a lead to an appointment. How can we do that? When someone says, hey, I really would like to purchase a home, or hey, I've been considering purchasing a home, what's that conversation going to sound like? It's going to sound like, oh, cool. Why is that? Why is that important to you? Why are you interested in that? So make sure that you're asking those questions to find out what their reasoning is. If they say, oh, I don't know, I've just kind of been considering it, that's not going to be good enough motivation. And so if someone told me, oh, I don't know, if I found the right place, I might buy it. I'm going to dig in and say, what's the right place and why is that the right place? Because if you have a buyer that's not got a lot of motivation, if they're happy where they're at and they're not dying to get a new house, they're probably not going to. So it's really important to vet those motivations and make sure that you're not wasting your time or their time running around showing them houses if they're not motivated. So, and it's less about, I say protect your time because that is important, but it's really just being good to them too, like being honest with them. A lot of agents are not going to tell them about the realities of the market. So you guys can be the expert that's going to tell them the truth and not get their hopes up and then crush their dreams when they don't get the first house they put an offer on. So you're going to want to ask their motivation. You're going to want to close to an appointment by saying, hey, let's find a time when we can get together and talk more about that. I've got time on Tuesday at 2 or Thursday at 4. When can we talk more about that? That's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be a super formal situation. You don't have to say, we're going to do a buyer consultation. Just say, hey, when can we talk more about that? Now, where do you want to do the consultation at? I prefer to have it done at the office. And that's just because you want to be set up as the professional in this whole transaction. So if you meet at the office, it's kind of on your turf. We have all these conference rooms in the front of the office. So you can always just call in or stop by the front desk and say, hey, I need this conference room at X time. And they'll reserve it for you so that you know for sure that you've got a spot. And I think the office is the best place to do that, because then you can sit down, you can go through the steps of that process right alongside them and show them what they're up against. The other option would be if they live in a different area. Like I had a client in Orem a couple months ago, so I met them at our Orem office. You can use our other KW offices. especially the Orem one and the Sugar House one. We kind of have a really close affiliation with those two. So, I mean, I use their offices all the time. They're both really, really nice offices, and they're always really good to me and my clients when I go there. So those two for sure, but really any KW office, if you call ahead and say, hey, I need a conference room, they'll help you get one. But I also will meet people at a coffee shop a lot of the times. I'll meet them at a coffee shop or somewhere just in between where we can chat. It's hard to find a coffee shop that's open right now for you to sit down and talk to them, but if you can find one of those local ones, that works great. I just try not to meet them at their home, you know, for a lot of reasons. One, their home is probably, you know, you just don't want to be on their turf. You don't want it to really be so much on their terms. You want to be able to control the environment a little bit and make sure that you can get them all the info that they need. So the office is the best. Some neutral coffee shop or restaurant or something like that is fine too. Just want to get it in a professional setting where you're kind of coming off as the pro and you're setting this whole thing up. Once you go into it, you're going to do it a lot of the way that we deal with sellers. So a lot of the steps are the same. The first step is going to be build rapport. So that one's not changed from sellers. The second step is going to be find motivation. Dig deep for motivation. So you're going to find out, okay, why is this so important? Again, we're having them sell us on why it's so important for them to be buying rather than us trying to convince them to purchase. The next step is going to be to educate. I want to show you what that sounds like for me. I think I've logged out here really quick. Let me pull it up. Let me show you what that actual education piece sounds like. Because I think we're comfortable on building rapport. That's that small talk, discussing something other than real estate, right? We're going to talk about something else. I mean, I don't care if it's the weather, sports, whatever it is, you want to build rapport. The digging deep, that's just, hey, why are you even considering this move anyways? Why is this important to you? You know, what's this going to do for you and your family? So there's a lot of similarities in that way. But the next step, education, I'll say that honestly is very similar too, because it's just laid out very similar. It's just the opposite basically of the way a seller consultation would sound like. Let me just scroll through here. I gotta find the right page. And I'm going to show you exactly what that conversation is going to look like. Awesome. Okay, so I'm popping this up. And I told you I've pretty much, so I'm actually going to show it to you today in Command. So I told you that I pretty much, you saw the templates that I had yesterday that I just kind of made, you know, just these easy things that I built in Canva. But you can kind of see, I literally just, I like the way it looked in Canva. So I just copy it and I throw it in, and now it's part of my actual KW Command presentation. So, so yours will look a little different. There is one in here already. I could even show you what it looks like. It actually looks just like this. So it says the process, you know, initial meeting, sign agreements. So it looks very similar. I just kind of preferred the way that I had it broken down into more chunks. So it's a little easier to digest. So you might follow my lead and kind of chunk it down a little bit. You might like this just the way it is. So whatever works. Build rapport, find motivation, educate. This is what that conversation sounds like. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Let me just go through a little bit of the process. It sounds like you're really excited to get a new home, and obviously it's going to make a big difference for your family. So I'm totally here to help you with that. Okay. Let me just go through a little bit about what that process is going to look like. The first step is going to be a consultation with the agent. Luckily, that's what we're doing right now. So we'll be able to check that one off by the time you leave my office. Okay. The next step is going to be getting pre-approved with my lender or with a lender. Just to make sure that we know exactly what price range you want to be in and to make sure that your payment's going to be comfortable for you. Now, I like to stick to, you know, when we talk pre-approval, that sort of thing, it can get very rigid. And I think it makes more sense to just talk to them like a person. Like you're actually just trying to help them get what they want. So instead of saying, oh, have you been pre-approved? You know, have you already got a pre-approval? We're not, I feel like that makes them feel judged. It's like, oh, are you good enough to talk to? Are you good enough to spend my time with? So I try not to use pre-approved or pre-qualification. That's just my style. So instead I say, hey, have you talked to a lender yet? They say yes or no. Say, awesome. Well, it's definitely a good idea. We definitely want to get that done so we can find out what price range you need to be in and make sure that payment's going to be comfortable for you. Because then we're not just saying, oh, are you qualified or not? Are you going to be able to be approved for this loan? Now we're more of a consultant and we're like, hey, let's see what's affordable for you. Let's make sure that we put you in a good position. So we're really positioning ourselves as their partner, and we're actually going to help them through this. So I really enjoy using a little different terminology than a lot of people use in that way. The next step is going to be setting up the online search. We're going to do just that right in this meeting. So we'll have that out of the way before you leave. That's basically going to set it up so that you can see all the new listings as soon as they come available. You're going to get an email and I'll help you get the app set up so that you can see all those new listings. The next step is going to be select your top 3 to 5 listings, and then we're going to go see them in person. That's probably going to be on an evening or on the weekend, or whenever you're available. I'm 100% there for you. I just want to let you know there's going to be some times with this market, because it's so hot, there's going to be times when there's not 3 to 5 homes. Maybe there's only one that you like. And so just know if there's just one home that you like, we're totally going to see it. I personally am 100% committed to getting you into any home same day. So you'll never miss a home because of me. If you're busy at work and you can't make it, that's totally fine. But I just want to make sure you'll never miss a home because of me. It may not always be me that's there to show you the house. Sometimes I might be in another meeting. I might be going out with my wife, or I even might be out of town. But if that's the case, I'm going to have someone else come show you the house. You will never miss a house because of me. I'm totally committed to this process. And because of the market conditions right now, that's really what it's going to require to get you under contract. So just know I'm 100% here for you and going to make sure that this is a positive outcome. As soon as we find one that you like, we're going to put an offer in and negotiate the contract. I do want to set the stage that with the way the market is right now, there's probably going to be homes that you put an offer in that you really love that you don't get under contract. And so I just need you to kind of be open to that and be okay with that. Just know it's not always going to be easy, but I'm going to be by your side the whole time. We're going to make sure that this has a happy ending, and I will, and it's going to be so worth it once we get there. Home ownership is so worth it. So I'm going to be there for you. Now, once we go under contract, you're actually going to deposit your earnest money just off to the side. Now, just to give you an idea of what earnest money is approximately 1% of the purchase price. So if it's a $500,000 house, it'll be a $5,000 deposit. That just kind of sits on the side in an escrow account. And it just lets the seller know that we're very serious about making this purchase and that we're moving forward on it. The next step is the seller is going to give us their disclosures and let us know anything that they've had problems with the home since they've lived there. After that, we're going to go another step further. We're actually going to bring in an inspector who's going to verify all those disclosures and find any other issues that the home might have so that you know what you're getting into. You can also do tests for mold, meth, radon. We'll go into more of that, but we just want to make sure that this home is safe and perfect for you and your family. Okay. I do want to let you know. So let's just talk about the money. The earnest money is going to be about $5,000. If you're buying a $500,000 house, it'll be about $5,000 of an earnest money deposit. So I just want you to kind of plan on that. And then let's talk about the inspection. The inspection, I typically have my clients budget about $500 to $700 for inspections, depending on which ones you want to do. It could be as much as, say, $700. We'll get into that more, but I just want to kind of let you know what it's going to cost. Remember, your earnest money is going to go towards your down payment and or towards your closing costs. So it's not money that you're going to lose, just kind of money that sits off to the side. However, the inspection, as soon as the inspection's done, that money is going to be paid out to the inspector. whether we move forward on the house or not. So just know that is going to be a cost of, just going under contract on the house and doing our due diligence. If by chance there's a major problem that comes up with the inspection, we can still cancel the contract, take that earnest money and go put it down on a new house. Okay. The next thing is we're going to have the appraiser come out. The bank just wants to make sure that they agree with us on price, that we're not overpaying for the property. They're just going to come check the value and then they'll give the final loan approval, just saying that we're good to go. Then we're going to go to a final walkthrough. We're just going to take a look at the house, make sure it still is in about the same condition that it was in when we initially put that offer on it. So we're just going to make sure there's no damage or anything like that. And then we're all going to go sign those closing documents. Just to let you know, when we go sign those closing documents and put the rest of your down payment down, we're not going to get keys right at the table. I just like to let you know that, because I know on TV, it's so fun and you get the keys right at the table. Just know that in real life, it takes a couple days for the loan to fund, for the property to record, and then for you to get keys to the new house. Any questions that you guys have on that?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I know we're doing a lot of leasebacks right now, and how does the final walkthrough work with a leaseback? Because if the seller, like one of their kids like draws on a wall or something stupid like that, how do you rectify that?
Great question. So you are still allowed you're still allowed a final walkthrough. They call it, on the contract, it's called a final walkthrough inspection or something like that, walkthrough inspection. You're still allowed that. So you still get that chance even before you close. And then the other thing is when you do a leaseback, there's a leaseback agreement, which is a form that's in the MLS. It lays out all the terms of the lease. And one of those terms is that the home is going to stay in the same condition. And there's also a deposit that will typically be put down. So out of the seller's proceeds, X amount will go towards that deposit usually. So, and I don't usually have a big deposit on there because I'm representing, like if I'm representing the buyer, I don't want to have, I'm not going to want the buyer to have to put a huge deposit down, or I'm not going to want the seller to have to put a huge deposit down because that's going to scare them or maybe make them feel less positive about the lease back. And I'm doing everything
less
to make
secure.
Yeah. So I'm usually doing a $1,000 deposit, which to be honest is probably a hair low on, a house that's in the $400,000 or $500,000 range. But that's usually what I'm doing, just so that there's something. If there was damage, the seller wouldn't take care of it. That would at least pad some of it. Of course, if there was major damage to it, then it would be a little bit bigger ordeal, and the seller would still be, seller still has all their obligations to not destroy the property. Good question. I like that.
Thank you.
What other questions do you guys have? Was there anything that you noticed about that you liked, that you didn't like, that you want to hear another way to approach? Okay. All right, I'll accept that. Okay. So that's the education portion. That's where we're actually, we're build rapport, find motivation, educate. The next step that we're going to go into is their actual wants and needs, and realize that the first thing they would like to go through is their wants and needs. They just want to show up at your office or even just at the house, and they just want to start saying, oh, this is my whole wish list. I want all of these things. And so it is by having this system and this process, you are taking control. And I don't mean that in a control freak sort of way. I don't feel like I'm a control freak. I just think you're going to be the professional by kind of structuring this the way that you want. And so you're kind of going to give them the stuff they need. You're giving them the meat and the potatoes before dessert, I guess. I guess we'll just stick with that. That's where we're going. So you're making them get the information that they need before you're having them go through the things they want, if that makes sense. So anyways, which is really a way that you're showing them value. So the next step.
Nick, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Sorry. At what point in this do you have them sign a buyer agreement?
Great question. I would say before they leave that appointment, you want them to sign a buyer broker agreement. Yep.
Okay.
And I will say it's the time that it makes the most sense. It makes the most sense for them to sign then. You can still get them to sign it at a different time, but it's not smooth. It's just not, it's not smooth. Even, yeah, it's just not smooth. So it's just better if you can have them sign. Anytime you're trying to get agreement from someone, you're going to have them sign it in person, because it's just like, you're going to be showing them all your value. You're going to be educating them. They're going to be like, wow, like this person really knows what they're talking about. And then you're going to say, oh, here's the agreement. And they're going to be like, oh, geez, why wouldn't I sign that? Whereas if you give them a week, they're going to, the process is going to start wearing on them. Things might be great. They might be not so great. I mean, you just don't really know. It makes the most sense right at that time when you've already set it up, you've shown your value, then have them sign up.
So Nick, can I say something?
Please.
I'm so glad that you asked that, Lindsay, because that's a question that I get personally all the time. I would second everything that Nick says. And in addition, I like to say the state requires us to form a set relationship with real estate, so that I promise you that these are the things that I will provide you, and make them feel comfortable in signing it. But if you say that it is something that is required, they will respond well to that. Also, I have found that if I docu-sign that buyer broker, it is not as effective. So just like Nick said, try to get it in person. And I even put in, I'm actually not allowed to show you properties until we've identified this relationship. So that puts a little more push on them to get it signed.
Yeah, awesome. Great point. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love that. Awesome. I'm actually, just since we're on the topic, let me show you really quick exactly what Carrie said. And Carrie and I know, because we do a lot, we have a lot of people sign other documents that we need signed. If I just hand it to them across the desk, they just sign it. I just say, hey, here's kind of what it is, and they just sign it. If you docu-sign it, you'll find out that their husband is an attorney, and they will review every single word on the entire thing. They'll find errors that you didn't even know existed. They'll be like, oh yeah, well, it says it says when you sign this that, that I have to take you to Ruth's Chris for dinner. And you're just like, how is that even in the contract? Like, you're just like reading it, like, what is that even talking about? So it is so much easier when you do it in person. It's just smooth, nice and smooth. And yeah, great point. Thank you, Carrie. Okay, one other thing I want to show you really quick, just since we're on the topic. Let me show you what the buyer agreement looks like, although I'm sure you've probably seen it in real estate school. But the way that this prints, pretty much the very last line on the first page, and I don't know if this is on purpose or I have no idea, but pretty much the last sentence is basically what we're going to do for the buyer. And so a lot of people get hung up because right here we might put a certain percentage that we're going to get paid. And so they'll make the buyer broker all about this commission that you're going to get. Whereas if you go down to the very last sentence that prints on the first page, this is about 3 pages long. The buyer's agent and broker have fiduciary duties to the buyer, including loyalty, obedience, full disclosure, confidentiality, reasonable care, and any other duties required by law. I always make this joke, and it's never funny, but people still laugh at it. But I'll just say, hey, these are all the things it says that I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you loyalty, obedience, full disclosure, confidentiality, and reasonable care. My wife wishes I would give her half of those things. So it's really a good promise. It's never funny, but they do normally laugh. So anyways, I just always kind of highlight that. And, it just humor, even if it's not that good of humor, it still loosens things up a little bit, and people don't care. They're just like, okay, whatever. So just a little advice on there as far as how I like to get my buyer brokers signed. I like to show them the value that they're actually going to get. Let me show you one other thing, and I know that there is one, actually. Let me pull it up really quick. in the Ignite link that I sent out at the beginning of the week, there is a toolbox, and I'm 99.9% sure there's a buyer info sheet in here. Let me just double check it real quick. I was gonna say I have one, which I do, and I can share it with you. But I was thinking, geez, you probably already have it. Let's see if this is, no, oh. Actually, no, there's not one in there. Okay. Well, I'm happy to share with you the one that I have. Happy to share with you the one that I have. So this is a little form that I made. So I already told you, we're on the 4th step now, which is education. I have this buyer info sheet, and it's literally, it's more for me than it is for them. I didn't explain this properly before, and I've had people just literally pass it to the buyer and say, hey, will you fill it out? That's not what it's meant to be for, just to be clear. It's more just so that I can keep track of my stuff and keep on topic when I'm talking to them. So it's just an info sheet. I do like to have this physical paper here when I'm doing the buyer, you know, when I'm actually doing that interview, because I want to be able to make notes on it. And one thing that I'll teach you, here's just a bonus little like sales tip, I guess. Learned this at T-Mobile years and years ago. But anyways, one thing that I'll do is, because this has buyer name, phone number, email address, and physical address, you know, that's one thing that a lot of people, especially newbies, I hear, you know, I'm nervous to ask them for their address. It feels uncomfortable or weird. And so I try to, yeah, I can kind of understand that. I know that sometimes it can be a little different. So here is, here's a good tip. When you've got something like that, so on this form, it says buyer's name. You should know the buyer's name if you're meeting with them. So you'll kind of write it down. You'll write their name in there, and then you'll say, buyer, what's your phone number? And you'll write it down. And what's your email address? And you'll write it down. And same with the actual physical address. But the benefit, the trick is that when you ask them something, you look at the paper with your pen in your hand, and you're like, so this is what I'll try to look at the camera. So I'm like, oh, awesome. So, you know, it sounds like, you know, it's going to be so great. I'm going to help you get your new house. Let's just talk about a little bit more about what you're actually looking for. So let's see, I've got your name here. And then what's your address? And you literally will look down at your notepad with pen to paper until they give you their address. And eventually it's so awkward because you're just looking down with your pen to paper, they just can't handle it, and they will just give you their address. So if there's ever something that you want from someone that you're afraid to get from them, or that you're afraid that they won't want to give you, people don't like to feel awkward. So if you just, and it doesn't take that long. It takes like seconds, maybe more like 1 second or half a second. When you ask them a question and then you go pen to paper with your head down, you're not asking them, you're not waiting for their reaction. You're literally just waiting for them to tell you the info that you want. So there's just a bonus tip for you today.
Hey Nick, I almost gave you my address.
Right? It's uncomfortable. So yeah, I love that. So it's very effective. I do that a lot when I'm door knocking, for sure, because you have that physical aspect to it. And it's just so awkward that they just can't help it. So love that. There's your bonus tip of the day. All right.
Nick, you might have already mentioned this. I was actually on the phone with the buyer for a second, and you probably covered it knowing my timing, but so what do you bring to your appointment when you're doing your buyer appointment? So I just need like a checklist so I don't forget anything.
Yeah, totally. So I really love that. My buyer packet is actually very short. So there is a buyer packet in Command. So you can bring that packet that's in Command. Just go in there, check it out, because you'll want to tweak it a little bit, make sure that it's correct for you. You'll want to bring that just so that you have something. You're not going to cover it word for word, but I do like to bring something. And the main thing that you need is you do want to have a process. So you want to, you know, I've shown you how we kind of go through the process. You want to have something like that. So you can, if you email me, I will send you the one that I have. If you, you know, there is one in Command. I just don't think it's quite as It's not as easy to explain because it's more of like a really long checklist of things. But yeah, you want to have the process because build rapport, that's not going to take any paper. You don't need any paper for that. Find motivation. That's not going to really need anything. You do want the education piece to be there. So I think just having something there for the process. The next page that I have on that is this buyer info sheet, which, am I sharing it? Can you see it right now? I think I am. Okay. So this would be the next page that I would have in there for sure. Some sort of buyer info sheet. Could be this one, could be a different one. But something just to keep you on track. And then the last one is this dumb one that I made. You don't even have to use it if you don't want to. I kind of have some funny things that I just, over the years, let's see, where's my, I mean, I'll show you literally what my packet looks like. Can you see this one too? This is literally my buyer packet. This is one I send to the printer when I go. It's just a PDF that's ready. So it's got moving made easy. That's my value proposition. My value proposition is I make it easy for them. That's what I'm here for. You know, there's so many things that take up so much bandwidth in life, and I'm here to make your real estate purchase as easy as possible. Then I go to the, this is not the right copy because this is like an old school version of the process, but then I have the buyer info sheet. Then I have this setup, the home search app. This is the one I was actually talking about, which this is just literally the instructions of how to use the MLS app, which most people don't struggle with, but it is a little confusing the way that it actually works. And I'm going to show you how it works in just a second. But people get confused, and then I like to have the MLS app logo here because that way when they're looking through their app store, they can make sure they get the right one. Because if they search Utah real estate on the app store, they're going to find a bunch of others, probably including like Zillow and all the other things. So anyways, so I just have this little thing that explains how to do that. And then the last page that I have, which is something you guys will develop for sure as you go, it's just a list of testimonials. So this is one that's a little more leaning in the buyer range. My seller one has some of the same testimonials, but some a little different that are more like, hey, Nick's the negotiator. He's the best marketer and negotiator ever. And this one's more like, he's so patient. He's so great. He, you know, gets me into houses ASAP. So I've just have them tweaked a little bit, you know, for whichever side I think they're stronger on. So is that helpful at all? I know I literally, this must be an old version of it. This is not the one that I print because this is old school, but literally the thing that I print, I've gotten rid of so many of the other fluff pages. Mine's only like 4 pages. When I print it front and back, it's only 2 pages. So it's very short and succinct. To be honest, I would like to have a longer one, and I'm probably going to have someone just design one for me just so I have it. What I'll actually cover will still be the same stuff. I mean, you don't really want your appointments to be overly long. 20 to 30 minutes is like the perfect appointment length. People get bored. People get, you know, they don't really care. They need you to show off a little bit so that they know that you know what you're talking about. Other than that, they really don't care. It's just mostly about asking them questions. So step 4, go over the buyer info sheet. Make sure you know, just ask them, you know, so this is all going to stem from their motivation, why they're moving. Make sure you know, are they upgrading, downsizing? Are they first-time home buyers, relocating? I will say I'm not super rigid about this. So, you know, you don't want to sound like a robot. Just as you're going through the conversation, you'll forget things that you need to ask, like do you have a bedroom or bathroom count minimum? Do you have, you know, do you want an unfinished basement? Do you want a finished basement? Do you care at all? You know, so there's a lot of different, you know, just a good reminder of all the things you need. And then I do ask for the wish list items, which is just, you know, other stuff. Like they really want a kitchen with a big island. They really want a big yard, a small yard. I'll make notes on here that they like whatever they say they've got, they want a big yard. That's one of those things where I always ask, what is that to you? Like, what is a big yard to you? Why do you want a big yard? Because you might find out that they've lived in, you know, you might find out that a big yard is like 0.1 to them. Like the first house I bought was 0.07. So 0.1 is actually a big yard to me. So, or they might have grown up on a whole acre and they want, they want 10 acres for themselves. So it is important to ask those questions like, hey, it is not Tracy, but I will send this one out. I owe you a couple seller forms from yesterday, and I will send out buyer forms today. So yeah, find out why. And when they talk about their pets, a lot of times, oh, I just need a yard that's big enough for my pets to turn around. I would ask a few more questions like, what does that look like for you? But I also ask what kind of dogs they have, what that looks like. You want to try to get to know these people. If you may already know them or you may not, but you really are going to try to build this relationship. That's kind of the point. So take any notes on anything that they want. Next step, this just goes through like desired monthly mortgage payment, whatever. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Let's go to the next step. Next step is going to be, I want to show you how to actually pull this up. Now, I literally, while they're in my office, I will pull up the MLS. Now, if you're meeting with them and it's not in the office or you don't have a laptop with you, you may not be able to do this with them, but I do like to do this with them. So I actually go to the MLS. I go into the MLS and I say, hey, let me get you set up. Now, these are just a couple tactical things. You might want to take a couple notes on it. It's pretty simple, but just so that you remember, you're going to go to the main page. You're going to go to clients and address book. I'm going to click on that. When you go into address book, you're going to see, so you'll see your current clients here, and you're going to say add new client. You're going to put in their first and last name and their email. Okay, you don't have to fill all this out. You could, but I never have. First, last name, email, and then hit save. Now, when you hit save, there's going to be a green bar that goes across the top that says they've been added to your address book. Okay. Now, once that sends, they're going to get an email instantly that says, hey, Nick wants to connect with you on utahrealestate.com. That's what the email is going to say. And then when they click on that email, they're, this sounds like something a lender would do. Oh, okay. Awesome. We're on the same page. Okay. So once that email is sent, it's going to say Nick wants to connect with you on utahrealestate.com. And then it's going to say, do you want to accept the invitation? They're actually going to click on that email. It's going to say, okay, what do you want your password to be? They're going to choose their password. And now their login is their email address and that password that they just created. So not super high intensity. It's just a couple steps that can get complicated. You hit this, you hit save, they'll get the email. It's going to say you want to connect with them. They click on it, they choose their new password, and then they're good. You'll know that they've already done that. They've chosen their new password and they've said they want to connect with you, because when you look at their connection in here, when you go to clients and address book, you'll see that it says profile. You can actually click on their profile, which will show, what homes they've been looking at, what property lists have been sent, all that stuff. And then you'll know that they didn't accept it if, when you go to clients and address book, if you check on here and it says no, that means they literally said, no, I don't want to connect with that person. They literally said no. So that might be someone that I didn't know very well, someone that I met at an open house or something like that. So, where they actually said, no, I don't want that. And then the in between is this pending one. Pending one just means they haven't done it yet. So it may mean that they hate you, but it probably just means that they haven't gotten around to it. You might have to remind them, something like that. And I would say, even if they say no, it could have been a mistake. So obviously, I don't think that means they hate you either.
So is that the first meeting that you do this at, or you send it out after the meeting, after they've signed their buyer broker agreement?
No, I actually do this in that meeting. Yeah, so I just went through, found out everything that they want and need. I send them that email. They'll be looking up their passwords while I go to the next step. So they'll be making their passwords and everything while I go to the next step. The next step is going to be, I'm going to actually set up a search for them. So I'm going to go to search, residential full is typically where we're going to be searching for them. And then you're going to be in this, general search area with all the criteria. Now I'm going to clear the criteria, then I'm going to choose status active, because obviously I want to show them active houses. Then you're going to go through and figure out, okay, what criteria do they need? Now you want to keep this pretty broad because there's not a ton of new listings coming up. You don't want to really limit it. So if they say, hey, I'd really like a garage, I'm going to say, is that a need? Like you will not buy a house without a garage, or is that a want? It's okay either way. Just make sure that, because if they're willing to buy something without a garage, if it's the right house, then don't put that limitation of a garage on there, because it's going to weed out anything that doesn't have a garage. You want to go a little more broad. So let's say, okay, they have to have single family. So I'm going to choose that. Let's say they have to have Rambler for whatever reason, but they're not willing to buy anything that's not a Rambler. Let's say they need 3 bedrooms. These are all the search criteria. I won't go through them all. I'd bore you to death. There's all these different search criteria. Probably the trickiest one to understand at first is this little graph, but it's also, or this chart, but it's also the one I probably use the most. So I'll say, okay, they have to have at least 3 bedrooms on the main floor. That's what this is saying. Number 1 is the main floor, B is the basement, and then there's more floors up to the 4th floor, which we don't use super often. But so this, by putting a 3 here, I'm saying there's a minimum of 3 bedrooms on the main floor. I could also say, oh, I don't care where they're located, I just need it to have 3 bedrooms, in which I'd put it up here where it says total bedrooms 3. So you're just setting up your minimums, your maximums. So let's say they have to have a 3 bedroom. So I'm going to set it up like that. And then let's put it in Salt Lake County. There's none. Okay, there you go. That's a little interesting, actually. Maybe it's a mistake. Let's see. Yeah, it's got to be a mistake. Unless I screwed something up. No, it's a mistake. So anyways, you'll kind of set up your, let's just do it again. I'm going to go single family. I'm going to go, I'm going to say that it has to be between 625 and 700. Let's see what that gives me. I do need to change this to active. The MLS isn't perfect. I do think one distinction I should make really quick is that from a Keller Williams perspective, and I've asked a lot of people who are in production what they do, and they've all agreed with me, so I don't think it's too taboo. I use our app and our website, the KW app and website. I use that for marketing. The website looks great. I mean, if you go to the website, it really is awesome. Like it works great. It's easy to get around. Mine's just loading real quick. I was just going to show it to you, but it looks great. I mean, people can just pull it up, see any listings that are around. Works really well. When they click on a listing, they can pull up. I clicked on the wrong button, but when they pull up a listing, it's going to show you as the agent, which I love. Like it's so awesome. And when they ask agent, it's going to actually ask me rather than asking the listing agent. So our website and our app, they actually work great. They're awesome. However, when I have an act, and so I use these for marketing. I'm sending them out to market for new clients, but I'm not using these apps and the website to actually find my clients a new home. If I'm working with the buyer, I'm going straight to the MLS and I'm going to search for homes that way. And the reason is because the MLS has instant data. So our websites and Zillow and all the other websites, they're syncing with the MLS. So there's always going to be a lag. It's not going to be totally up to date. So when I'm working with a bona fide buyer, I'm going to the MLS. I'm setting them up the way that I just showed you guys to do. That's how we're actually going to go search for a home together. So hopefully that kind of makes enough sense. I know that gets confusing, but I use our KW app and website as a marketing tool to get new clients. Once I have them, I'm setting them up directly on the That may change one day as syndications and that sort of thing change. But for now, that's what I'm doing. Okay, once you've set up your criteria, you're going to go to view results. You'll be able to see all the listings that are available. I like to select all. So I just click this box to select all of them. You probably won't have 85. You'll probably have a little narrower search than that. And then I just hit send listings. So select all of them, send listings, and then just say which client you're sending it to. So select your client. You can put in an email subject like all available homes, SL County or whatever. And then just hit send, and it will literally send them that entire list. So that's going to show them what's available right now. That's going to show them what's active right now. The second step to that is that you're going to want to set up a listing alert. So I'm going to go back to refine search. Now that I've shown them what's available currently, now I'm going to switch gears and I want to get them set up so they can see all of the new listings as soon as they come out. Okay. So I'm going to use this same criteria that I've got them set up with right here. And I'm going to actually go in and create a listing alert this time. So I just hit create listing alert here. And you can name it. So this would be like, I would name it new listing Salt Lake County. And then I would choose my client again. So you'll choose which client you're going to send the listing alert to. And we're talking about sending them all of the updated listings. So as a new listing comes on the market that meets their criteria, we're setting it up so that they'll get an instant notification. So there's a few different options of these alerts. You can do express alert, which means as soon as a house pops up that meets their criteria, they're instantly getting an email. Okay. That's the one that I use now because the market, there's not that much inventory popping up. That's not going to blow up their emails like crazy for the most part. So I'll mostly do express alert. But there's also clients where if their search is a little more broad, you can set up a daily alert, which just means instead of sending multiple alerts out just whenever a home is listed, daily alert will say, okay, every morning at 7 o'clock, we're going to send all the homes that were listed in the past 24 hours. So this one's going to give a little less frequency to those emails and just make it so they're always getting those updates at the same time every day. And then weekly alert, that's more like if you have a prospective client, they're not really seriously looking, but maybe you just want to give them the new houses as they come on the market just to get them thinking about it and seeing what's available. You might do a weekly alert, something like that. Then you'll save it and you're done. You're literally, as soon as there's as long as you chose express alert, as soon as there's a new listing, they're going to email the client, they're going to email you, and you'll be the first ones to know about that new listing that came out. So you can see how that would be helpful in a market like this. You have to know about those things as soon as they happen, right? As that new listing, you have to know about it immediately. So anyways, what questions did you have about that? I know this is very nuts and bolts. This is like real deal, what button to click. Was that helpful for you? Did you have any questions on that? Did you take good notes? Any comments, questions, ahas? Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, we're going to switch gears again, and you guys are in for a real treat today. Some of our favorites people are on here. I saw they just barely popped on. This is the Rains team. So Donnie and Jen Rains, they run the Rains team. They do an awesome job. They're actually the ones that are at the bottom of the stairs on the main floor right there. Just go up to the main stairs in the lobby to the left. The Rains team, I think they're always happy to see you, so you can always pop in there, ask them questions, say hi, whatever. But anyways, they've built this business, this big team where I know they have a lot of leads. They'll train you on the exact scripts that you need to be making, the conversations to have with clients to be able to convert those leads and be able to turn those into transactions. So they really do a great job of training and growing new agents. So I really appreciate them taking the time on here. They're also very passionate about working with buyers, and they do a lot of things that are out of the box that I think that you guys will appreciate. So anyways, I feel really lucky that you guys are on here helping us out, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. That was an awesome introduction.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I always get confused on Zoom. Are we good to take the screen?
Oh yeah, let me make you the host. And just so you know, well, let's see. Okay, I've made you the host. And just so you guys know, maybe I should set it up really quick. At 12 o'clock, we're gonna break for lunch again, and then we'll be back at 12:30. So as soon as you guys are done, you can just pop off, and then I'll be back at 12:30. So again, thanks a ton for your time, and I think you guys will really enjoy this.
Thank you.
Oh no, this thing popped up on the. There we go. And then yours is right there.
Yep.
What's up? How's everybody doing? Everybody's on mute. We got a big class today. This is easily the biggest group we've had on here, so this is really nice. So, yeah, my name's Donnie Rains. This is Jen Rains. Like Nick said, we run a team downstairs. You guys are more than welcome to pop in anytime. We have arcade games. If you guys like NBA Jam, stuff like that, you're more than welcome to pop in if you're in the building and come say hi. So today we're just going to go over kind of the buyer consultation and our tips, what we think creates a really good buyer consultation, so you can walk away with the client like you intend to do when you get there. So for us, the buyer consultation, it's really there to establish everything involved, with letting the client know the expectation, finding out what it is that they're looking for. In this particular market, I don't know how many of you guys are newer agents, but you guys are walking into a pretty crazy market right now. And different things are happening right now that are involved with getting offers accepted, and it's just a little bit crazier than it was before. So it makes the buyer consultation even more important. So that way you're able to sit down with your client and explain in detail everything that's going on. Because if you have a really good buyer consultation, then the whole process moving forward from there, is going to be that much simpler. So the big thing with the buyer consultation is really, again, you want to get in front of them. Like no matter what, whenever you're working a lead, and you're working with a potential buyer, you want to get in front of them, because the best way to build rapport and to build trust with somebody is to get face to face. So that way you can look each other in the eye and have a really solid conversation, So the big thing again is get in front of them, build rapport, make them know you, like you, and trust you. And those are the buyers that are going to stick with you. So you want to really get in front of them and do a good job building good rapport with them. So one study that we looked at, and we've seen a lot of studies like this, sometimes they're the 66% that you see, I've seen 72%, different percentages, but the point is, 66% of home buyers go with the first realtor they connect with, whether that's 66 or 72. What that tells me is if you go in and you do a really good job, they're really not going to be shopping for another buyer's agent. So, to me, that statistic is good, but I believe, in our experience that, it's going to be closer to like 80-90%, if not more, if you just go in and really crush your buyer's consult and do a really good job. But again, 66%, all you really have to do, again, is just show up, the odds are in your favor. And again, the big thing is learn more about what they're looking for and why they're considering buying. That's going to be the really big thing, is what's motivating them and what's their why for making that big move. Maybe they're a first-time home buyer and they're looking for a home that they can grow a family into, or maybe they currently have a family that they live in a place that's too small and they need something that's got a bigger yard, or maybe it's a job transfer. There's all kinds of variables that are at play. So it's important to spend some time and sit with them and find out exactly why they're looking to move and what it is exactly that they're looking for, what kind of home that they're looking for, so you can really get to understand, more about them. And it's also important to take that time to sit with them and get to know them on a personal level, because again, people want to work with people that they like and they trust, but they and that's the biggest thing. If you can make them like you and trust you and spend time with them and show them that you actually care about their situation, that they're not like another commission, because people will smell commission burn, and it can be kind of easy to come across that way. But if you just take a step back and realize, like, what am I doing here? I'm here to help these people, and the more time I can spend with them to understand them, not only am I going to be able to help them better, but they're going to see how much that I care about them and their situation. Because again, if they'll work with us, the more that they know that we care about them. Another thing too is set the expectation for referrals. Our business, it's the lifeblood. Referrals are the lifeblood. Leads and referrals. That's how we stay in business. So And if that's your first opportunity sitting with them at the buyer consult, that's when you want to set that expectation. If you guys have heard of the reticular activating system, if you guys went to Lee Stern's class yesterday, you heard about it, but it works, right? Basically what that is, it's the part of your brain that recognizes like things that you're looking for. Like you've heard, you go buy a car and then all of a sudden you drive around and everybody has the same car that you have. And so you kind of use that concept with setting the referral. You're letting them know, you ask them, hey, do you know what the reticular activating system is? No, okay, well, you do the car analogy and you say, well, just like, with the cars, now that you're in the market, you're in the market for, buying and selling real estate. Now you're going to start to be aware of people that family, friends and such that you're going to become aware of. And I really want you to send them my way so I can show you how good of a job I can do, or whatever your pitch is. But you're letting them know that you're expecting, referral, and you're doing that kind of throughout the process. But again, this is your first opportunity to kind of set that expectation, because again, we want to close the deal with them, but we also want, 2 or 3 or 4 people coming from them within the next 6 to 12 months, if possible. We want them thinking about us. The big thing again, the other one is educate them on the home buying process. I was talking about how this market is so much different than even last year, right? After about April, May last year, the market took a whole different turn, and some strategies that were working before that are no longer as effective moving forward. We're doing different things. And so, it's our job to really, to explain that to them in detail and set that expectation, because once we go out, we start shopping with them and they're going up against 30 offers. It's a shock to a lot of people. But if you have that conversation in the beginning and let them know, like, look, this is what the market looks like today. This is what it takes to get an offer accepted. And then talk to them about what their situation is, so you can strategize how you can work with with what they have, in this current market. But again, if they don't know what they're walking into, it could be a real big issue for a lot of buyers. And it could be such a big issue that they'll get so discouraged, they might not want to be in the market right now. But if you prepare them and let them know, hey, it could take X amount of offers to get accepted. It's going to take, this, and this is what it's going to take. And just know that if we stick with it, we're going to get there. Then that's a whole different conversation with people, and it helps keep them motivated along the way. So again, educate on the home buying process, educate on the market. I also like to bring contracts with me, because, you're going to, at some point, you're going to be writing offers and stuff like that. And a lot of times we do them through DocuSign. It's just what's more convenient nowadays. And so I like to bring a contract with me, bring an addendum, the buyer broker, the documents that are needed in the beginning. So I could go over it with them. So when we write an offer, here's the parts of the offer that are going to stick out that you need to be aware of. And then all the other things, of course, you want to explain to them. But again, it's going to make it a lot easier, once you start writing offers, and the questions that they're going to have are going to be very different because of how good you prep them in the beginning. And it's also a good opportunity that if you feel comfortable getting your buyer broker signed in the beginning, it's good to just have it there, just have it on hand. And if they're willing to sign it with you there, you can get that done right there. So again, it's just really the whole point of the buyer consult is to build rapport, set the expectation, and so you can game plan moving forward. And if you just keep that in mind when you do that, everything's going to work out good. I'm going to switch over to Jen. We have our buyer consult, and this is kind of, walking through the whole process, what we just talked about. She's going to go through that process with you, and then we'll stick around afterwards if you guys have any questions on anything.
I got it.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, guys, hope you're having fun. If you want to take any screenshots of this, you can. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook for a lot of tips. It's just the Rains Real Estate Team. And like Nick said, we're downstairs. Okay, so first thing on the buyer's packet is your cover page. This is actually a listing that we sold in Lehigh, in Parade Homes, gorgeous house. So we like to put that on the front. Kind of lets the buyers know that we do luxury, we do pretty much everything. So we put that right there. Our second page is basically congratulations, you're buying your first home. That's a big deal. And then letting them know, setting the expectation, like Donnie said, this packet's going to contain a lot of helpful information. And what we do is we actually send this to them at the end, and there's some questions on the last couple pages that we like to go over, and have them return it back to us. So we give our clients a little bit of homework just to make sure that we can follow up with them on that, and it gives us an opportunity to reach out again. So the third page, we like to add all of this up front, especially for, I don't know if you guys know DISC personalities, but if it's a D personality, they just want to get it done, right? So they just want you to get to the point. So we have this page on here. If we notice it's somebody that just wants you to get to the point, we'll just go out over this and then email them the packet. So first thing is you're going to meet with an agent. Awesome. You're doing that. Perfect. And then analyze your needs with the buyer's console. That's what we're going to be doing today. And then reach out to a lender to get pre-qualified and approved. And then we let them know what the difference is there. We also have that section in our buyer's consult. And then you're going to send your agent properties that you want to see. I actually set the expectation, letting them know the easiest way to do that. So I'll say, just text me the address, let me know a day and time. I'm really, really quick at answering back, and we'll get you in there to make sure you can see the property. Write an offer to purchase, and then we explain the buyer broker. When you're writing an offer, of course, you have to do the buyer broker at that point. A lot of agents, they like to do the buyer broker up front, which actually can save you in the long run, especially if they go to a builder. What we do though is we like to earn our client's business. So we're not going to make you do that until we actually go to write an offer. So that's totally up to you on how you guys want to present that. That's just how the Reigns team presents it. And then negotiating terms. We're going to do all that for you. Donnie's actually really, really good at negotiating. So if you guys ever need any tips on that, he's amazing. Probably the best I've ever seen for negotiating. And then we're going to have our contract accepted. Then we're going to go through seller's disclosure and earnest money deposit. So we explain that to them. That has to be done. We like to say 3 days. Really, it's 4, but we say 3 days just to be safe. And then explain what the seller disclosures is. It's basically everything that the seller knows is wrong with the house or that he's fixed in the house, HOA stuff, all of that. We're going to get all of that at that point. So you can look that over. Then you're going to schedule an inspection before the buyer's due diligence deadline. We usually like to say, do that as quickly as you can so that we have time to negotiate on your behalf if we need to before the deadline. That's also a deadline where you can lose your earnest money depending on what we have set up in the contract. So we'll really want to get that done in time. Then we're going to have the lender order the appraisal. That's actually a third party. It's not the lender. They don't work for us or anything like that. It's just going to make sure that the home is worth what we're actually going to be doing the loan for. So that's for them. It has nothing to do with us. If you want to pay over that, awesome. We can definitely do that. That's how offers are getting accepted right now anyways, is if you're paying over appraised value. And then we let them know financing and appraisal deadline. You can also back out at that point if you don't like your rate, if you don't like your monthly payment. If the appraisal came in low and we didn't have that as something that was in the contract, letting them know that we were going to negotiate. And then they're going to take care of underwriting, getting you home insurance. They'll do a credit check again. So that's not just a one-time thing and then you're pre-approved. You are going to have that stuff checked again, verification of employment, all of that. So don't quit your job. Don't go buy a whole bunch of stuff. And we actually have that section in here as well that explains all that. Schedule a final walkthrough, settlement and closing, and then you're going to get your keys. And then we explain all what the settlement and closing is and how to schedule a final walkthrough, all of that stuff during the buyer consult. We add the pretty pictures and things like this. I would definitely add that to yours as well. What it does is if it's an I personality, like the really outgoing bunch, not only is it going to keep them engaged, well, that's actually the main point, is it's keeping them engaged with your buyer consult. So you'll want to add stuff like that. Then words you should know, essential terms. I put the earnest money on here right at the top because that's the biggest thing that people ask about. What's earnest money? So it's an amount of money you put down to show you're serious about purchasing a home. It's also known as a good faith deposit or skin in the game. If you just say those two things right there that are in bold, they usually get it. Okay, skin in the game, I understand. The seller is going to be holding their home off the market for you while you're getting your financing in order and doing your due diligence. It'll be held in a trust account. So we don't hold it. You don't put it in our name. I actually know an agent that did that once and he got in a ton of trouble. So make sure you're putting it in Keller Williams South Valley. And yeah, we just hang on to it. If you guys back out before your deadlines, those 2 deadlines, then you'll get your earnest money back, depending on what we put in the contract. If you go past those points, then that's going to go to the seller saying basically, thank you for holding your home off the market for us and not looking for any buyers while we got all our financing in order. Thank you for doing that. So then it would go to the sellers. Due diligence is the complete survey of the property, real estate asset. There's some different things you can do for inspections. There's meth, there's mold. You can do a soil sample if it's land, different things like that. Same with, that's all with the inspection. We say it's optional. There's some people that like to have family members go. You can totally do that. It's recommended to get a professional. And again, they're just going over everything. You're going to get a huge packet from a professional inspection. It's going to have a ton of things in it. Looks really, really scary. but we're gonna look for the big ticket items like heating, cooling system, plumbing, electrical work, water, sewage. Are they like at the end of their life and do we need to hurry up and get them replaced, or roof, something like that? Or any fire or safety issues? Those things are the big red flags that we're looking for. But pretty much, you know, just with getting an existing car, a used car, everything's going to have something wrong with it. Even new builds do. We see stuff come up in their inspections. Keep in mind when you get that inspection report, there are going to be some things that the inspector is not super familiar with. So he's going to tell you to have a professional look at it. That's not necessarily a flag. It just means he might not feel very comfortable with signing off on it. So to save him and protect him or her, they're going to have you have a professional look at it. So those are just some things to look for in an inspection. And then appraisal, third-party licensed appraiser, like we said, they're going to come in, complete an estimation, which is calculated by comparing the recent sales of homes in the area. It's just for the loan purposes, has nothing to do with anything else. Because, you know, you decide what you're going to pay for the home. You decide what the value is, but that's for the loan. Underwriting, the process of analyzing a loan application to determine the amount of risk involved in making the loan. It includes a review of the potential borrower's credit history and a judgment of the property value. So we're looking for like any tax liens, stuff like that, anything that can mess it up. That's what underwriting's for. So title is huge. This is actually for the lending, but title will go ahead and take care of all of that as well. And that's the reason that we pay for the title fees, right? To make sure everything's good there. Then we put in mortgage and loan process, funding your home. Why get pre-approved versus pre-qualified? Well, I'm sure you guys have heard the term, and I wouldn't say this to your buyer, but you have ever heard buyers are liars. They're going to say, you know, this is how much I make, this is how many hours I do, this is my credit. Well, that's kind of like hearsay when you're going to court. You want the actual pre-approval where you get all the docs in and make sure that they are what their actual buying power is. So that's what this is for. It kind of just tells them the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Then you've got the underwriting, we explained that. The loan approval, again, the title company, like I was telling you about, everything that they do. And then funding, the lender is going to review the loan package and funds are transferred. That's basically right at closing. So that goes over all that. And then more pictures for the I personalities. Prior and during home purchase. So this is a really big deal because we've had clients where they decided they wanted to go out and buy furniture. We've had some where they wanted to go buy a car, and they actually did. Luckily, they paid cash. And then different things like that. We had one quit just before closing. So just watch for things, make sure you go over things like that so that the buyer knows not to make any changes while they're under contract. Just because you're under contract doesn't mean you're done. You got to get all the way to closing before you do anything like that. So we put, don't open and close any new accounts, loans, or credit cards. Because if you have a long-standing account and then all of a sudden you close it, what's that going to do? It's going to drop your credit. So make sure you're watching for things like that and you're letting the buyer know that, because a typical buyer is not going to know that unless we go over it with them. So setting expectations. Buying a new car, making big purchases, don't have any abnormal cash deposits over 500 because the lender needs to trace that kind of stuff. Avoid too many transfers between accounts. Keep a copy of all your bank statements. Again, don't make any employment changes. Make all debt payments on time. Don't schedule any repairs, upgrades on the home until you've actually closed and titles recorded. So we don't want to fix anything for the seller until we've actually closed and the house is now in our name. Once it's in your name, then go ahead and schedule those things. But if you decide to back out and you've done a ton of repairs, I mean, that's definitely something that you don't want to do till it's in your name. And then we just put the little disclaimer at the bottom, more pictures, and then writing an offer. Just like we said before, list price, it's just an advertised price, especially in this market. This is a huge thing to go over. Asking price for a home, it's a rough estimate of what the seller wants to complete a home sale. Obviously, highest and best is usually what makes an offer stand out. And we go over the escalation clause at this point. If you guys don't know what the escalation clause is, it basically means you can make an offer for a certain amount, and then you're letting the seller know that you will beat any competing offer 1,000 over up into this point. So really you're making a max, but it's not a max all at once. It's not the highest and best all at once. So it can kind of save your client some money there. Watch on this, make sure that you're letting the listing agent know that your client is comfortable going up to that amount. Make sure you let the listing agent know that there is the escalation clause there. Because they might not always see that. They might be rushing through a whole bunch of offers. There was actually a home up in Sandy that got 98 offers. That's a huge amount of offers to go through, and they might not see everything that's on your offer. So make sure you're letting the listing agent know that that's there if you're going to use it. Move-in date, we let them know that possession date is actually something that you totally need to be flexible on, especially in this market. If they want to have some time to find their own home, maybe they need an extra 30 days, an extra 2 months, something like that, that will actually make your offer stand out. Keep in mind, you want to talk to the buyer's lender before you do a flexible possession date, just because loan details vary. You want to make sure that you're actually able to do that. In exclusions, that's basically inclusions and exclusions. We just let them know that major appliances are negotiable. Hot tubs, usually sellers like to leave. We tell them that. So you'll want to have that on your buyer consult as well, because you can educate your buyer about that. And where to find it. I would bring an MLS and show them exactly where to view those things so that they can see that as they're looking online, etc. We let them know about removing contingencies. A lot of people are doing that right now, but we want to make sure that they are aware that they are risking their earnest money if they're removing contingencies, making part of it go hard right up front, or making all their earnest money go hard right up front. It is very attractive to sellers. They will want to take your offer, but make sure that your buyer is aware of that risk is involved, because not all the time they understand that. So just go over that with them. Writing an offer, closing costs. So we let them know what closing costs is, that they can sometimes be included in the mortgage, things like that. Sometimes sellers will cover it for you, but in this market, it's really, really hard. So make sure that they have their own closing costs and they know what the percentage is. The lender can tell them that. And see if you can talk to the lender about if you're getting beat out a ton, see if they can bring the closing costs down a little bit. Sometimes lenders can be flexible with that depending on what your buyer situation is. So talk to them about that. Relationship with the listing and agent and the seller. So a couple things you can do here, and be careful with this. Writing a letter. We can't write a lot about the buyer, but we can write a lot about what they loved about the house. We're allowed to do that. And then finally, submit with a video offer. So everything that you explained in the offer, you're going to put that in a video offer. This is one strategy that we're using right now that's beating pretty much every offer. It's pretty much working about 100% of the time. So throw that in there with your offer when you email it to the listing agent and the seller. And then that way they will make sure that they show it to the seller. We're getting a ton of compliments from the listing agents too, just for submitting this. But it makes your offer stand out. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. Because we want the offer to stand out and we want them to pick our offers. So anything that you can do to make it stand out, definitely do that. A ton of other strategies we can use when writing the offer. Like I said, it varies depending on what your buying power is. So we need to talk to your lender. We need to know the terms of your loans, what you're actually able to do. And if you have any extra cash on hand, if there's anything you can do for higher earnest money, extra down payment, anything like that can help out. Maybe even one thing that we've been doing is actually paying for the home warranty for our buyers. We do that as our closing gift. If you close, we'll pay for your home warranty. That way we're not asking the seller to cover that. And then letting the listing agent know that, because again, they might have a ton of offers to go through. But if you let them know that, and then they know that that's something extra that their client doesn't have to pay for, that can make your offer stand out as well. Settlement and closing. So settlement is basically you're just going to be hurting your hands and you're going to be signing a lot of notes, right? Signing a lot of contracts. When you're going through that, title's going to ask you to bring things. Your lender might ask you to bring things. We let them know about wire fraud at this point. Different things like that. If they need to bring any extra payment, stuff like that. That's all going to be part of the settlement, and they'll title and lender will go over all that with you. Then closing, once you're done with that, if you sign on a regular weekday, so not Friday, closing with our title company anyways, is usually 24 hours between 2 and 4. That means you get your keys, you've delivered the funds, the county's recorded and delivered the deed, so you are now the owner. If it's on a Friday at this point, then we probably won't be able to fund and close until Monday. If Monday is a holiday, then it's going to be Tuesday. So we let them know all that stuff. Once that happens, you get your keys, yay, and then you're done. Okay, so that's it for the buying process. What we add to the end of our buyer consult is a couple things that you can expect from us. And then we ask them some questions. So this is where the homework section comes in. What you want to let your client know is you're going to be sending them this, or maybe you're giving them the packet if you're meeting them there in person. They can either email us with all the answers, or we can have them fill it out right there. But this is huge to know, because like Donnie said, we need to know their why. The reason that you need to know their why is throughout the contract, your buyers are probably going to be a little scared. They might want to back out. If you can remind them of that why, whatever it is, because they wanted the amazing view, because they had huge bedrooms, which they really wanted to get bigger bedrooms for their kids, or whatever it is, remember that why they wanted to move closer to family, something like that, because you can use that throughout the entire transaction. You're also setting expectations in this section and asking them what their expectations are for a realtor. We had one realtor that we know of, and this wasn't our team, but it was a different realtor. He always, right after they went under contract, he would email them everything that was going on with the transaction. Every week he would send them out an email. Well, the client's expectation was he wanted a call, he wanted a text message, he actually wanted to be talked to so that he knew what was going on. So his biggest complaint at the end of the transaction, even though the agent thought they were doing an amazing job, they really weren't, because that wasn't hit the client's expectations. So you really need to know what their expectations are of you, and then ask them that, and then what your expectations are of them. This is what I want you to do, text me the address, whatever that is. So yeah, this just goes over all of that, what to expect. Then we added this in, what's your dream home? Here's the homework. What are the top 5 things that are important to you in a home? Things you need to have. Need, this is a need, not a want. And then what's the main reason you're making the move? Being closer to family, closer to work, whatever it is. Beyond those 5 things, what do you wish for in a home? So this is the wish list. Like they want a bigger pantry, they want a 3-car garage, they want a view of the mountain, they want to be by the lake, whatever that is. We have them write that section here. So we've got the need. This is what you're going to put in the hot sheet, and then the wish. This is, just extra stuff you're looking for. If you could have your dream home, what would that look like? This is where you're getting them to dream. We really want to do that because it keeps them on the buying process. It makes it so if they are losing out on offers, things like that, we can remind them of why they're doing this. And then what are your expectations of me? What are you looking for in an agent? Do you want somebody that's patient? Awesome. We've had clients where we've showed them about 40 houses. Some clients where it took them 2 to 5 years before they actually bought. Different things like that. You can put in pretty much whatever their expectations are of you, whether it's patient or just someone that's on top of it, someone that's going to reach out and update them all the time. Maybe it's text message that they want to be talked to with, whatever it is, have them put that on here. If they only fill out 2, that's totally fine. At least you know what they're wanting from you. And then frequently asked questions. You definitely want something like this in your buyer packet. So I would take a screenshot of this as well. But when what we do here is we let them know that it doesn't matter if the home's on our website or where they get it from. We can show them any home. And we want to do that so if they see a home on someone else's website, they're not calling those agents. And then use my site, stay on my site so that you're not bombarded by other agents. You're probably going to get a ton of emails, text messages, calls. Let them know you're already working with Jen Rains, and then they'll leave you alone. So we go over that with them right there. That makes it so that they stop using other websites. We also let them know what the benefit of that is. The reason that you want to use my website is because mine's updated super fast, and it's going to have all the newest listings on there. You're not going to see a ton of under contracts or backup offers like you would other sites. So it's a benefit, right? They're going to see a lot of active homes. Can you help me find new builds? Yes, our team's worked with close to every builder in Utah. I can get you all the information you need on new builds, like earnest money, construction deposits, if they have a wait list, what their build time is, all of that. If you're going to go to a new build, make sure you schedule all new build appointments through me so you don't use the right of representation, right? It's kind of like if you're going into court, maybe you're getting divorced, you don't want to use your wife or your husband's attorney. You want to have your own attorney that's there to represent you. So kind of the same thing here. If you get into an inspection or appraisal and you need to renegotiate at any of those points, you're going to want someone that's going to be able to negotiate on your behalf. So definitely have that in there. And then for sale by owners, how does a for sale by owner work? A lot of people don't understand that you can still use an agent. So we can definitely schedule tours for you. And huge tip, especially with there not being a lot of listings, go to KSL for your buyers or anywhere else that you've seen for sale by owners and look there as well. Don't just use the MLS. Don't just use your hot sheet. Look for sale by owners, because you can get in there and get your buyer in quicker, where this house is not getting advertised a lot. Maybe you're the only offer. So definitely make sure you're doing that. But yes, we can schedule tours for that. We can help you out with inspections, do all the paperwork, because the for sale by owner probably doesn't know how. We'll take care of all of that for you. And then, can we tour a property again? Surprisingly, we get this question a ton. Of course you can. If you want to go in and look at an inspection, you want to do a final walkthrough, you just want to go in because you want to show your mom, we can get that scheduled for you and we can tour the property. We just have to do it ahead of time. Getting to know you, we add this as well. The biggest reason is because it helps with our events. We do a lot of different team events. And Keller Williams does too. So if you don't have an event going on, you can piggyback on the Keller Williams events. Like they did a Halloween event, and I can't remember where it was. They do the chocolate events. Willer Farm, they did Willer Farm where you could invite all your people, and I think it was like $5 a person. They had food trucks and tons of stuff. So you can always piggyback on the Keller Williams ones. But yeah, we let them know, or we ask them what their name is, what their spouse's name is, who's their kids, what their birthdays, because this is another reach out after you go under contract. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Remembered it was your birthday. Happy birthday. Remembered it was Billy's birthday. Tell Billy happy birthday, whatever it is. Do you have any pets? If so, what's the type and what's their name? Oh, it's a golden retriever. Awesome. I love golden retrievers. They're so cute. Again, you're just, you're getting that rapport. That's also really important to know, because say they're buying a condo and HOA doesn't allow certain breeds. We need to know that up front before we go under contract and we make part of their earnest money hard. So definitely get that information. Favorite restaurants. Again, maybe you want to do a gift certificate form for the closing gift. This is really good to know. Or maybe you just want to do a gift because they gave you a referral, whatever it is. You'll want to ask them that. And then hobbies and activities that they enjoy. This is a really good rapport building thing too. Not just that, it helps us plan our events. Best way to communicate, again, huge. I talked about that a couple times, but it is really, really huge. Phone, email, text. How do you like to be talked to? A lot of people say text. So make sure you're following up that way as well. Whatever it is, even if you haven't done showings yet, you want to know how they like to be communicated with. And I would ask them that up front, very first call. How do you want me to talk to you? Okay, great. And then that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like we said, follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you have any questions. Rains Real Estate Team, we're on the main floor if you need anything. But does anybody have any questions? Or want me to go back to any slides? Or we can get out early for lunch. It's up to
No,
you.
that's really helpful information. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I had one question, if that's okay. I'm sorry, everyone. You said to submit a video offer. Is that a video of you reading your offer or explaining your offer, or is that the clients?
We're doing this with our offer, and it's just to explain the offer. So what are the bullet points? Like, are you doing an escalation clause? Because again, if a seller has 98 offers,
They're not going to read everything.
Exactly. So we like to tell them that we're paying for the home warranty or whatever it is. Whatever's going to make your offer stand out. Yeah, we do that with the video for sure.
Okay.
100%. And we've gotten tons of great feedback for it.
So if I understand you correctly, you submit the offer via email and then you attach a video of things that you want to stand out.
You got it. Yep.
Okay, cool. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Okay, cool. All right, well, I guess you guys can have an early lunch. If you want a copy of this, just ask Nick. We've already given him a copy. But yeah, create one. Make it look awesome. Add a lot of pictures. put in your own style, put in your own flair, because this helps a lot. And it's a really good close too, because say right now there's not a lot of homes to look at. Is there another appointment you can do just to get in front of their face? This. I want to make sure that you're the most educated buyer on the market. So let's meet. Okay, anything else? All right.
No,
I
that
guess you
was
guys-
great.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Happy to help. And if you guys have any other questions, you can just let us know.
Thank
All right.
you.
Of course.
Thank you,
You're
Donnie.
welcome. Have fun, guys. Have a nice lunch.
Thank you.
Thanks.